So we're just going to do a little demo. Obviously we're going to base it on this kit, which is a restricted number of our products. So really you may not find the perfect product, but it's just really to get you used to using the test files and the kits and things. So as I say, if you do want to experiment, play a bit more, there's a full product kit at the back that you can use. But we'll just do a demo with this, just so that you get used to, you know, how we use the test files and things. So in your brochure, the back there, you've got a sheet of the nutrients for the neurotransmitters, the ones that I talked about in the presentation. So it's just put on a summary page for you. So you can look which meridian you are and which nutrients it's worth trying. So as we know in kinesiology, anything can treat anything. So just it may not, the answer may not be here, but it's the process of doing it really want to show you. So Steve was spleen, meridian and bladder. So he's going to be high histamine. So the nutrients we've got for high histamine are listed on page 2 there. So let's look at the kit.
I had childhood asthma. Childhood asthma.
All right. So we do it against the meridian or against the muscle? Do it against the meridian first.
Okay, so to test the nutrient, you can either use the acetate with a strong indicator muscle, which of course will go weak, or you could use a weak associated muscle to any of those that are weak to see what strengthens.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? So at the end of the day, it has to strengthen both groups of muscles. So we might as well start off with a weak muscle and see which one strengthens. It cuts it down a bit. So, okay, that's good.
So the first one on the list you can see there is P5P.
Okay, so I'll do the latissimus dorsi.
Say that they have to be on the skin and they have to be exposed to light as well for people who haven't used these before. You can't hold them in your hand or anything, they've got to be exposed to light, yeah?
Got in? Niet.
So P5P didn't do it. So now we've got some magnesium, so different types of magnesium. The liposomal magnesium is here.
Got in? No.
No. So then shall we try different types of magnesium? We can try, what have we got here? Can't see. We've got magnesium citrate here as well in the minerals section. We've got magnesium SA as well. Zinc. So the next one on the list is zinc. So let's try the liposomal zinc. And we've got a positive on the liposomal zinc.
Liposomal zinc strengthens the latissimus dorsi. But does it strengthen the middle trap? Push down, yes. The lower trap, yes. The triceps, yes. Plantar flex the foot, plantar, that's it. And push in with the toe. So the tibialis posterior, push out, out, and out again. Good. And we'll do the same on that one. Push in. Okay. And tertius there. It's looking good. Okay, so push down to the floor, straighten the elbow, and pull in. Perfect.
And so it will strengthen the 2 acetates as well.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So a strongly indicated muscle using the spleen. Let it bend. That's it. Pull up. Good.
So it strengthens the causal meridian, yeah.
And the effect.
And the effect one, yeah. So liposomal zinc does all his muscles and both meridians. So shall we have a go at doing that with each other? So obviously it's going to be difficult in the space. You can either use the meridian or a muscle. And just see if any of the products work for you. As I say, it may not be the solution for everyone, but just have a go at playing with the products and the test files. Yeah. Okay, then shall we move on to the next stage? Because we've got loads of stuff to get through. You can carry on at lunchtime if you want to, with the testing. So now we've got you've got your meridian, 2 meridians, and we've got the neurotransmitters. But the great thing about the meridian, it also tells us about the emotion of the person, the emotional state of the person. So there's an emotional state associated with each meridian. And Chris has based this on the work of David Hawkins and his scale of consciousness. He's put together a scale of all the human emotions. This is the one that we're going to be talking about, really. He's put all the human emotions onto this scale. So really, the first 14, starting from the bottom, are linked to the different meridians. The top 3 here, if you get to joy, peace, enlightenment, you've probably got no physical problems at all. So really, we're just concentrating on these 14 here. So that's saying about David Hawkins, identifies the human emotions and puts them on a scale. We do experience all of these emotions, but we do have a particular one, which is our sort of norm, in inverted commas. That's sort of the way that we tend to see the world. So Eckhart Tolle says, your life is not determined by what happens to you, but by how you respond to what happens. And this ties in with the emotion of the meridian, that the meridian that is your causal or the effect meridian, the emotion associated with that would be how you see the world, be it anger, be it grief, regret, be it apathy or despair. And that's your general way of seeing the world. So just to put the emotions to the different meridians, so bladder is to do with shame and humiliation. I often don't talk about that with patients. It's a bit harsh, that one. So if somebody has a bladder meridian, you can talk about they don't feel great about themselves, they need to feel better about themselves, they're a great person, so they need to have more confidence, really. Gallbladder is to do with guilt and blame. Large intestine is apathy and despair. That's the emotion associated with it. Conception vessel is grief and regret, so sort of, perpetual sadness, really. Kidney, that shows a lot with people with anxiety. That's the fear and anxiety one. Governor vessel is craving and desire, so that's sort of to do with, could be materialism or ambition, or it could be to do with craving love or relationships, something like that. Lung is to do with anger, but also frustration. Often it's frustration against yourself, not necessarily other people. Liver is to do with pride, so that's sort of hurt pride or the arrogant type of pride. Triple warm is to do with neutrality and trust, so that's really neutrality, sort of not being judgmental, sort of live and let live type idea. Trust is kind of, trust in the universe, trust in what's happening, but a lot of times it's to do with trusting your own capabilities and your own ability, especially when people are starting out on a new career or something. They don't always feel they've got that trust in their own ability to do things. Conception vessel is to do with courage and affirmation, so this is to do with seeing life as challenging and exciting and not being overwhelmed by life, really, taking the courage and having a go, sorting out your life. And affirmation really is, some people don't get affirmation from their environment, perhaps nobody's affirming them, so you really need to be able to affirm yourself, tell yourself that you're doing a good job and you're a great person, just to build up their confidence. Stomach is to do with acceptance and forgiveness. Acceptance sounds a bit passive, but really it's not in that context here. It's more to do with accepting your responsibility for your role in the world or your activity, sort of taking on new things and accepting that you can do that. Spleen is to do with willingness and optimism. We've got lots of people. Sometimes that's to do with willingness, where people are trying to do their best and they feel they can't, so it's that kind of striving feeling. And optimism, a lot of people are sort of glass half empty, aren't they? So perhaps we need to be a bit more optimistic. Small intestine is to do with reason and understanding, so that would be people who over-reason everything, over-intellectualize everything and can never feel satisfied with just sort of thinking, well, it's one, I've just got to have faith in this situation. Or sometimes it's over-intellectualizing too much. Sometimes people who are sort of striving to become, to achieve things, like I've got a couple of PhD students and they show to small intestine, because they're striving to improve their reasoning and their intellectual ability. But you don't have to be a PhD student to have small intestine, but it just illustrates the point. And heart is to do with love, really, all aspects of love, and this often is about loving ourselves, really. So that's just a quick run through of the different emotions for each meridian. So these emotions do sort of come through via the hypothalamus, and they create changes in the levels of the neurotransmitters, which is what we've been talking about. So the emotions do affect the levels of the neurotransmitters. So they affect every cell in the body where the neurotransmitters have receptor sites. So we've got to treat the emotional state to rebalance these neurotransmitters that are causing anxiety and depression in people. So we've done lots of research using essential oils for each meridian. We tested about sort of 50 or so different essential oils and see which meridian they came up with. So now we've got collections of organic essential oils for each meridian. I didn't mean to bring one up here. Can you just show a perfume, Zoe? So these are the products that are the combination of organic essential oils for each meridian. So they're little roll-on bottles. They're put in the Miron glass, because Miron glass is obviously the dark glass, because it protects the essential oils. Essential oils are very delicate and they do need protecting, but also it's a very energizing glass as well, so sort of double function for that. So these work on the emotional center of the brain, and they do regulate the neurotransmitters, so they modulate them. So if one's high, it's going to bring it down, and if one's low, it's going to elevate it. So here we see the beautiful aroma going through the nasal cavity, passing by the olfactory bulb there, and then into the limbic system of the brain, which is the emotional center of the brain. So aromas do very quickly get into the emotional center of the brain. So studies have shown that the use of certain aromas can benefit mood by determining what neurotransmitters will be released, which is exactly what we want to do. So that's what they are. We've used different groups of aromatherapy oils, essential oils in each perfume. So one from the flower group, there's a fruit in all of them, a herb and spice, one from the tree group, and one from the resins. They're more like the frankincense type, spiritually uplifting type aromatherapy oils. So really, when you've identified the particular collection for your patient, it does lead you on to doing an affirmation. It leads you into how you can help them emotionally by using our different techniques and things. It just gives you a sort of way in, and then we can use the different kinesiology techniques based on that kind of idea. So we've called the perfumes very affirming and uplifting names because we're aiming to move the patient from the negative emotional side of that meridian to the positive side. So things like for bladder, for example, we've called it Wonderful You. So really every time they put the perfume on or use it, that's a kind of affirmation for them. Gallbladder is compassion, to not necessarily just to other people, often it's to ourselves as well. Large intestine we've called Hope. Conception vessel we've called Inspiration, because if you remember that was to do with grief and regret, sort of looking in the past. We want to inspire people to move forward into the future. Kidney, which is one of the main ones for anxiety, we've called it Serenity. So often words like in control and calm are very good for people with anxiety. So Serenity really resonates that kind of idea. Governor vessel is Gratitude, so it's okay being ambitious, it's good to be ambitious. But sometimes you just got to be, grateful for what you have as well. So lung is to do with loving respect for yourself or for other people. Liver is inner strength, and that was to do with issues of pride. So if you're hurt pride, you need your own inner strength, and also the arrogant type of pride, you need, you don't need to be arrogant. You've got your own inner strength. Triple warmer, that was to do with the trust. So we've just called it just trust. Just trust that things are going to turn out. Trust the universe. Circulation sex, we've called that empowerment. That was to do with the courage and affirmation. Stomach, we've called harmony, moving towards a state of harmony. Spleen, we've simply called it optimism. Small intestine was the over-reasoning, over-intellectualizing one. We've called that just sometimes you've got to have faith in things. And heart is love. So they're very affirming and beneficial names, and they can be used really as a basis of your affirmations and your emotional work. We don't need to go through that really. They are a proper perfume composition. They've got top notes, middle notes and base notes, and all the different notes are beneficial to that neurotransmitter, to that meridian. So you've got to be very careful with different perfumes. We use organic plant-based essences and organic alcohol in there, and they are approved by the Soil Association. I had a patient the other day. He brought in a natural perfume that he'd got off a website, and the website looked beautiful and all beautiful words about this perfume, but it did weaken him. So, you know, you really have to make sure that what you're putting on your skin is not going to cause you problems. Because these things like the phytolates, which are petrochemical-based chemicals, get into the body and affect your endocrine systems. It's going to affect your hormone production. So really important to muscle test for tolerance what you put on your skin, including these perfumes. There we go. So we've got the test vials in the kit. That's in the first column there. So you can use these test vials against the weak muscles or against an acetate, meridian acetate, or even just TL to a pain. They're very versatile. You can use them really against anything. So in this procedure, we've got the two meridians, you've got the two there, you need to pick out the two perfumes that relate to that meridian, and that's put onto the test vial. The abbreviation is put on the test vial, so you know which meridian it is. So pick out the two, and then you need to find the one that balances all the muscles and both meridian acetates. There's only one will do this, and that's the perfume that you need to regulate the emotions of your patients. So we have got, obviously, perfume. It's okay doing it with a test vial, but if patients don't really like the smell, but actually it doesn't really happen very often, we've put together a box of perfume testers with a little bit of the perfume in. So we're doing that as a special offer today for £5. So if you're interested in taking the perfumes, but you want to know what they actually smell like, then have a look at the tester packs. So meanwhile, let's see which one Steve strengthens to. So he is spleen. So spleen is optimism. So we're going to take out the optimism perfume. And bladder is wonderful you. So we're going to see which of these two he strengthens to.
Okay, which one are you putting on?
So shall we put optimism on first?
Yep, let's be optimistic.
Yep.
Bull?
No. So the wonderful you.
Pull. So wonderful you strengthens. Push down, straighten the elbow, push the foot in, push it out.
See, it's doing it did all the spleen muscles, and now it's doing the bladder muscles as well.
So
yeah.
we'll assume that's
so that's his emotional remedy, the Wonderful You collection of aromatherapy oils.
He's got his eyes open and no
Yes,
acetate on
the
it.
eyes closed
the
was just at the beginning of the procedure. The eyes closed was just to find the causal meridian. Those 3 steps at the beginning was when the eyes were closed. I know it's caused a bit of an issue. So just the first 3 steps of the procedure is when the eyes are closed. As soon as you've tapped in and got the causal meridian, it's eyes open all the way then. Yep. So why don't we test the 2 perfumes that are associated with meridian and see which one strengthens you?
Strengthens the muscles.
Strengthens the muscles, yeah.
Yeah.